covered. We have covered 3 full topics so far, and half of the previous topic, there was topic of soul. So now, as an icebreaker, can you all, or few of you, can share one extremely foremost, very important thing which you have learned so far in this course, and then we'll move ahead with our today's presentation. Quickly, we'll go over in 2 minutes with your learnings, observations. Does somebody want to share?
Jayaji, I believe Shashi here. For me, it has been the true relevance of God between the natural and non-natural things. How the God has an infinite detail to its creation. To understand that, the second is how we as a human differ from an animal, and maybe the source of the whole Vedic institution, how it has to be authenticated before one gets into the journey. So I think for me that is quick 3 things.
Okay, thanks a lot, Shashi. Yes, very nice points you have shared. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Sharadji. Yes.
I firstly pointed out that something that is relevant in this life. Why human is different from animal, and where the soul is and where it is, and how it is scientifically told, proved that yes, there is a difference of soul.
Yes. Thank you, Sharadji, very much. Your voice was a little low, but if I could understand you properly, you said the difference between animals and humans and how scientific it is to understand that there is God and the whole spiritual realm. Yes. Thank you, Sharadji. And you also spoke about the goal of life, the purpose of life. Yes. Yes, Ankita, want to go next?
I just want to know that if animals and in a human, only the difference between is a wisdom. Otherwise, animals and humans are basically on the same platform, differentiating only on the wisdom and the intelligence.
Dharma eva.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Oh, dharma.
Yes.
Dharma is the difference. In the other animals,
yes. Sharadji is adding to your point. Yeah, the dharma has to perform to be called as a human being. Otherwise, intelligence and wisdom is there in the animals also, little bit at the material platform. Yes, thank you for sharing, Ankita. Manisha, Payal, Ritika, anyone of you want to share something?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, please go ahead, Manisha.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Manisha, please go ahead. There seem to be some disturbance. Okay, so if there are no more points, let's go ahead with our presentation today. We are discussing topic 4 of Discover Yourself. The topic's name is Existence of Soul, Fact or a Fantasy. This is the most important knowledge which comes from the Vedas. The entire Vedic knowledge starts on this, depends upon this, and every now and then the Vedas bring us to this point that we are not these bodies which we see, we are the spirit souls. We had seen lot of understandings, lot of empirical proofs to understand that, observational proofs. So I'll quickly go over the slide which we covered last week. Who are you? If we ask, generally we tell our names, our designations, our nationality, and so on. The Professor Harry Monson told that the total cost of our body, if we collect all these chemicals which are present in the body, the cost comes out to be 110 rupees. But we don't feel our worth as 110 rupees. We feel our worth as much more, right? So then this worth is coming from where? This is not certainly from the body. This worth, self-worth, or somebody's worth is coming from the person who is keeping their body, who is in charge of their body. That person is soul. We had taken this example: when somebody dies, he becomes void of feeling, desire, thinking, willing, movement, consciousness. All these symptoms, all these things come from the level of soul, right? So Krishna says to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, for the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. When the body is slain, he has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. When he is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval, he is not slain when the body is slain. And this is the point. So this is 2.20, the second chapter itself. Krishna starts speaking about soul when Arjuna has expressed his unwillingness to fight, his doubts about his duty and position in this world, right? And Krishna told to Arjuna that I am not going to solve any of your questions. First of all, I need to remind you the basics. Guru had taught you in the Gurukula. You've forgotten, Arjuna, now, right? And this same mistake we have done in our lives. I had given you one example of a 10-step mathematical equation, right? If I commit a mistake, 2 plus 3 equal to 6, if I write in the first step of the mathematical question, the question has to be solved in 10 steps. First step, I write 2 plus 3 equal to 6. No matter how beautifully, how correctly I solve the next 9 steps, the answer is still going to be wrong because I have made the mistake at the first step. Similarly, in this life, when we are living in this world, we have made this first mistake, which is I am this body. I have to give a lot of comfort to this body to be happy in this world. I have to generate, I have to collect a lot of money, a lot of comforts in order to be happy in this world because I am this body. This is the wrong calculation, wrong thing we are following in this life. And hence, with this thought, when we live life, however nicely we live, the result is still wrong. We are still dissatisfied. We are still anxious. We are still not happy at the end of our lives, no matter how much we achieve. Right? So Krishna reminds us in the Bhagavad Gita that you need to correct yourself. You need to first understand that the bodily comforts and relations and equations, whatever we possess, is not going to make us happy. This material world, things are temporary and things are perishable, right? We discussed this 4 fundamental problems of life: birth, old age, disease, death, and then 3 miseries: adhyatmik klesha, adhibhautik klesha, adidevik klesha. These things will always keep us unhappy in this world because this world has been designed this way. Why it has been designed this way, we'll discuss in the next topic. As of now, we need to understand that first we have to strengthen our understanding of the soul. We have discussed this difference between body and soul. Body is matter, soul is spirit. Right? Body is always dead and the soul is always alive. Okay, this is again, I would like you to note this point down. When this question was asked by a scientist to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is founder of ISKCON. He founded this organization in 1965 in New York. Somebody asked him, Swamiji, I think our body is just a complex machine that gets worn out and crashes. Why should you bother about some soul powering the body? This was the answer which was given by Prabhupada to this person. Does your car or computer grow? Do you have a male and a female car which can unite and produce a baby car? A living body undergoes 6 changes, whereas matter just depreciates. It's the soul that makes living body alive. Now, we have all read in the science books, right? What is the symptom of life? What is the difference between living and dead? Living organism and non-living organism? They talk about, scientists also talk about consciousness. but they do not want to believe or assert that the consciousness comes from soul, right? This body is a machine. One time it comes into existence just like a machine, and when it is worn out, it is dead. But the point is, you can pass current to the dead machine, or maybe change some parts to the dead machine, and it will again start working. But you cannot do with the dead body, right? If somebody dies of hunger, let's say, there are a lot of people who are starving in this world. If somebody has died due to starvation, if there is no soul, then I should be able to make this person living again by pushing food into the mouth, right? By um, taking under by taking this body under some treatment, giving him saline or some other vitamins and protein and whatnot. That doesn't happen, right? Once the person is dead, it does not ever come to life. I don't know whether you know this fact. Long time ago, Walt Disney, right, who founded this organization called Disneyland, Disney. This lot of animation is produced out of this company. Disneyland is managed and governed by this company. So Walt Disney was a millionaire, and as you know, just like everyone else, he did not want to die, and he was becoming very old, and he was not keeping well in health. So some medical scientists, they assured him that, we are developing this technology that after some time, after some years, through our experimentations and through our medicines and so on, we will stop death. We will make people live forever. So they made a deal with Walt Disney that I will. So Walt Disney gave $1 million or a few $1 million to these scientists, and check, and scientists told that yes, we will preserve your body. Even if you die right now, we will preserve your body with some cryogenic solutions, and then later when we have developed this technology, we will bring you back to life. So Walt Disney died. The scientist earned a lot of money, and then after so many years, his body, scientists kept his body in some chemical solutions to preserve the body, and later they had to discard the body again, because later they said, oh, we are not there yet. We have not been able to solve that problem yet. We can't keep this body anymore. So every now and then, every few years, scientists come up with new and new theories, new and new medicines and cosmetics and surgeries to make us look young and to make us believe that we can live forever. But this is the natural cycle. The law of nature does not allow us to remain young, youthful forever, or even to remain living forever. Okay, we had seen this slide, and let me just now straight jump to this slide. Yes. So we had seen this. How do things fit in this body, right? The body is there, soul is there. How are things fitting in this body? So this white outline which is shown is the body. The body is made up of 5 elements, that is earth, water, fire, air, ether. We had discussed this the last time. Those who have not attended the last topic, I request them to go through the recordings on the channel. This is, you need to understand this: earth, water, fire, air, ether. What is the meaning of this? How do we understand the concept of gross and subtle, right? It is very, very crucial to understand the overall functioning of the gross body, and then there is subtle body, which is mind, intelligence, false ego, and then there is soul. And the properties of soul are eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Okay, so most of the things we have discussed last time, I'll spend a few minutes on this slide covering the subtle body and the soul today. Okay, now we had discussed what is mind, where is mind, right? All these elements left side of the screen, gross body, are the gross elements, but they are becoming subtler in nature when we are coming from top to bottom. Mind is even more subtle than the ether, than the space, right? Intelligence is even more uh, subtle, and false ego is all the more subtle. Being subtle means uh, we are not able to physically feel it, or we may not be able to give a shape to it. We can only understand it by our observations. So mind is nothing but man. In Hindi we say मेरा मन नहीं लग रहा है, या मेरा मन वहां जाने को कर रहा है. आज पिछले वीक मैं जब इस रेस्टोरेंट में आया था तो मुझे खाना बहुत टेस्टी लगा था. आज मुझे उतना टेस्टी नहीं लग रहा है. सो ये जो लग रहा होता है, ये है फंक्शन माइंड का. माइंड इज अ स्टोर हाउस ऑफ lot of experiences which we have gone through in life, in this life and also in the past life. Okay, it stores everything. It is in some way you can think of it as a memory, but it is not exactly as memory. It is because memory, some part of memory remains in brain also, and then that memory also goes away. But when we talk about mind, mind is carrying impressions, the experiences. And that is why when we deal with people in this world, different people behave in different ways in the same situation. Some people, they can go through some struggles in life very easily. They are strong, their mind is strong. Some people, they get depressed, they get, they can't handle things. Their mind is weak, so to say. Then intelligence is the discrimination power. Now this is different than being educated. Now being educated or being intellectual does not mean that somebody is intelligent. For example, the cigarette packet, the liquor bottle, they all mention that the smoking or drinking is injurious to health. But do you know, according to the statistics, which is the world's largest population which smokes or drinks? Most of them are doctors in that population, right? And if you go through the statistics, profession wise, the doctors are the ones, the highest number of people in the profession who smoke or drink are doctors. Now these are the people who need to, who are going to guide the society, who are going to tell us what to eat, what to consume, what not to consume. But unfortunately, they themselves are the smokers and drinkers. So why is it happening? Because the intellect is there, a lot of information has, the mind and the intelligence, they always quarrel with each other. Mind will always want to grab things very easily, very quickly, and mind wants to go behind the very, very short-term pleasures. I am feeling sleepy right now, so just go to sleep. Don't forget about the exam, forget about the competition or the match next day. Go to sleep. Give the rest to the body. Itna bhi seriously nahi lena chahiye. Mind will say this. Intelligence will say, no. If I just sacrifice 2 hours sleep today, right now, it will give a lot of benefit to me in the later years to come. So I need to get up and practice. I need to go for a morning jog to keep my body healthy. So these kind of things will come from intelligence. So you would have heard about this Chinese proverb which says that in every heart there is a good dog and a bad dog, right? And which dog would win depends on which dog we feed, isn't it? So mind and intelligence are these two dogs, good dog and bad dog. If we make our intelligence stronger, the intelligence can take over the mind. And if we do not make our intelligence stronger, the mind can win over the intelligence and make us do something which we may have to repent later. Okay. Now then third is false ego. False ego is you would have heard about this phrase, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. There was a book with this title. So I am Indian, I am an engineer, I am this community, or I belong to this thought process. All these things are false ego. In reality, I am neither of them. I am the spirit soul, right? But the situations in this world, the way I live my life in this world, I start identifying myself with the false identifications in this world, right? So the soldier on the border is fighting for to keep the border safe, right, from the terrorists, from the outside elements. When the war is going on, the soldier is like, no, I will kill from whatever, whoever is from that side, I will kill that person. He's my enemy. He's a Pakistani or he's Chinese. And the same thing the other person is also thinking, from the other side. He said, oh, he's from India, he's my enemy, I will kill this soldier. Both are undergoing war, both are battling in the war, both die in the same war, and both sides of people, they take the next birth. How? Now this one first person may Indian soldier may take birth in Pakistan, and the Pakistani soldier or Chinese soldier may take birth in India, and in the next life they will fight for now the different countries, right? An Indian who is in this life, in the next life he will fight for Pakistan, he will kill an Indian, and vice versa. So the mind intelligence false ego, they especially false ego, it false ego means that I wrongly identify myself with the things in this world, while I am none of them. Okay, so gross body and subtle body. Then there is soul. The yellow outline which you see on the screen is the outline of the soul. The soul's property is eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Eternity means the soul is eternal. Soul never dies. There will never be a time when soul will cease to exist, or there was never a time when soul did not exist. So what is the meaning of eternal? This is the property of not dying ever is the meaning of eternal. But how do we understand the soul is, how do we understand these properties? I had discussed the last week in our difference between body and soul slide, that we all know that we are going to die one day. Man is mortal. Man is not immortal. So if we are going to die, then we should always be ready to die, right? If the death comes, but we always want to be saved from death. We want to run away. We want to undergo difficult surgeries. We want to undergo difficult situations just to save our life. Because although I know that I have to die one day, I don't want to die. This soul, because I am not this body, I am soul, and the soul does not have any experience of dying, because soul does not die ever. So this feeling of eternal life is coming from the level of soul. Then there is knowledge. Soul possesses all knowledge. There is nothing in this world and outside this world which soul does not know. It's full of knowledge. But when we are in this body, that knowledge is covered because of the gross and the subtle body. The false ego, intelligence, and mind, they cover the knowledge, and all the more than another layer is put on us of the 5 gross elements. So the knowledge is covered, right? But at the same time, in this world, I am hankering for knowledge, right? I want to read this book, that book. I want to watch news and serials and history and geography, science, Discovery Channel, National Geographic Channel, all these. Why they are selling? Because this hankering of more and more knowledge and information is there within us. That hankering is coming from the level of soul, because soul is full of knowledge, and when the knowledge is covered, we are trying to gain that knowledge from artificial means while we are in this body. So that is knowledge, and then third is bliss. Bliss means joy. The soul, in its true form, is joyful. The soul is never unhappy. The soul is never morose. The soul is always happy and joyful, and that we can again feel in this life when we are looking for happiness, when we are hankering always for happiness. Nobody of us has prayed ever, right? That oh God, I have been happy for so long a time in my life. Please give me a heartbreak. Please give me some disease. Please give me. Please break my arm so that I want to feel how sorrow is like. We don't pray like that. We always want to be happy, and we want to increase our happiness. Always, that hankering of being happy always is coming from the level of soul. So eternity, knowledge, bliss, Sat, Chit, Anand in the Sanskrit, right? Any question on this slide? This was the most technical slide in this entire topic, in this entire presentation. If you have any questions on this, I can address those right now. Otherwise, we move ahead.
हरे कृष्ण।
Yes, Manisha.
प्रभु जी, ये सब लिविंग और नॉन लिविंग ऑर्गन्स में, मतलब ऑर्गेनिज्म में और सभी में होता है सेम?
Yes, that is right. Every living organism in this world that is living, an organism is living because the soul is there. And
Yeah.
the soul is there. The soul is covered from the subtle body, with the subtle body, mind, intelligence, false ego, man, buddhi, ahankar, and then that body is covered by the gross body, which is earth, water, fire, air, ether. तो ये सब में होता है. मे बी छोटा सा मच्छर होगा, या और नो वन सेल, single cell organisms like amoeba. Amoeba is also the same. The soul is there, subtle body is there, gross body is there, and a bigger creature like an elephant or a giraffe is also the same.
Okay.
Prabhuji, does plant also have this criteria?
Yes, that is true. But plant is also a living organism. Plants also have life, and that life is coming from soul. So soul is there, and then the same subtle body is there, and the gross body is there.
Prabhuji, but one thing more, that ki how, if the plant is considered this criteria, then the subtle body, that is mind, intelligence, and false ego, how the false ego, intelligence, and mind compromises in the plants?
Oh, so it works the same way it works in an animal, right? Right now, our mind and intelligence is little bit, you can say that this layer is not so thick for us humans, right? We are able to perceive things, we are able to discriminate living, dead, things like that, because human body has been given that kind of facility or intelligence, right? Our mind, intelligence, false ego is a little bit more cleaner than the other living entities. If you talk about a dog, so dog's mind, intelligence, false ego is very, very thick compared to a human being. And then accordingly, the body is given. So it will become clear to you in a couple of more slides later. I just request you to hold your question. In the context of that slide, I will explain this to you.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah. That brings us to how the next body is given. On what basis the next body is awarded to the soul, right? So we'll cover this in that topic in the same today.
Yes, Shashi. Shashi.
Yeah.
So a question here. So I completely agree that knowledge is there within the soul, and because of the reasons that you explained, we try to get artificial knowledge. So the point is, once the body is discarded and the knowledge exists with the soul, is it that the soul keeps on getting more and more knowledge as it changes the forms of the body across the different journey of the yonis that it makes? And how does the whole knowledge of the soul then complements the body?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, so you are right. Knowledge is when we gain a lot of knowledge in this body, but when the body is left and at the time of death, when the soul leaves this body, the material knowledge which we have collected in this world, it remains with the body and it just gets discarded. The spiritual knowledge goes further. Okay, a lot of information we have collected. We have learned from our nursery class alphabets to the PhD. We have learned a lot. Hmm. This is all material knowledge. All this knowledge will remain in this world. It will not go with the soul in the next body. When we take the next birth, if we get a human birth, we have to again start from zero, nursery. Again learn 1, 2, 3, ABCD, and then again do a PhD. The spiritual knowledge which we receive, it goes with the soul, because soul is spirit. Soul is not matter. So with the spirit, spiritual knowledge goes further. And because matter is left here in this world, which is burned in the funeral or put into the earth, the material knowledge remains with the matter and it gets destroyed, right? Now, how see, all of you are getting nice questions. You are inquisitive about the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. Where this tendency is coming from? This is all coming from the last lives. In the previous lives, we have all done little bit of spiritual realizations, some spiritual practices which we have done, some spiritual knowledge which we have received. That is making us inclined to the spirituality. In this group, there are more than 150 people. What's in the WhatsApp group which we have for the batch 5, more than 150 people are there. Only 10 people join every week, right? Why? Because these 10 people are the ones who have gained some spiritual knowledge, who have gotten taste of some spiritual progress which has been done in the last life, and in this body also that taste, that little bit of hankering, that inquisitiveness is coming. When we say the knowledge, soul has all knowledge, yeah, soul has all spiritual knowledge. Actually, we don't need to artificially learn from outside. Soul in its pure form has all spiritual knowledge, but because of this covering which has been put on us, mind, intelligence, false ego, uh, this subtle body is covering our spiritual knowledge. So when we are studying spirituality right now, for example, when we're learning from Bhagavad Gita, the layer of mind, intelligence, false ego, it is getting cleansed. Okay, and that is how we are reviving our spirituality. Okay, very nice questions. Thank you. So let me move ahead, and some of your questions will automatically be answered as we go ahead. So at the time of death, the soul leaves the gross body behind and is taken to another womb based on the quality of desires. Now, please focus on this. The soul leaves the gross body behind and is taken to another womb based on the quality of desire stored in his subtle body at the time of death. As a person puts on new dresses, giving up old ones, this is Bhagavad Gita 2.22. The exact verse is Vasamsi Jidani Yatha Vihaya, Navani Grihnati Naroparani, Yatha Vihani, Tatha Jidani, Anyani Navani Grihnati, Anyani Grihnati Navani Dehi. That's 2.22. As a person puts on a new dress, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. This body becomes useless, soul throws it away. Also, when I have some desires which cannot be fulfilled by this body, and those are the strong desires in my mind. Okay, so mind, as I said, is a storehouse of impressions, and also the desires are coming from the soul, but mind alters them. The soul wants to be happy. Okay, so the mind throws, okay, you want to be happy, so why don't you eat this gulab jamun? So the intelligence will say, no, you are a diabetic, you should not eat a gulab jamun. The mind will say, it's okay, in one gulab jamun nobody has died, right? So just eat it. It's a simple example to understand how this functioning of soul, mind, and intelligence. Now let's say somebody wants to consume a lot of flesh, meat. So there are people in this world who are fond of eating meat, but as per the scriptures, our diet should be sattvic, our diet should be pure, and the meat is not to be consumed by human beings. It has to be consumed by the carnivorous animals. But if I have strong desires of that, then this particular body is not suitable for me. This human body is not suitable for consuming meat. If we understand the anatomy of a human body and a carnivorous animal's body, we find a lot of differences. For example, the intestine of a carnivorous animal is not so long. It's very short, actually. The so that the flesh which has been consumed, the remaining parts can come out of the body very easily. The animal eats the flesh, and the intestine is straight like this. After the food pipe, the stomach, and then the stomach, after the stomach, the intestine is there, and straight goes out. The human intestine is in layers. It is put up like this inside the body. So if we consume meat, a lot of the residual in the intestines of the residual of the meat, it starts rotting. It gives us a lot of diseases. So if simple example is that if somebody wants to consume meat, then the soul will leave this body, and in the next body he will attain a body of a carnivorous animal, so that he can fulfill his desires of eating meat, right? So the next body is based on the quality of desires stored in the subtle body, right? Desires, the impressions are stored in the subtle body. So okay, there's some the soul changing bodies from one species to another. This was a small gif. It's not working. I don't know why in the slide. Anyway, the root cause of soul transmigrating from one body to another in this material world is the desire to control and be the Lord. As the person living in this world, I want to control a lot of things. I want to become the enjoyer of a lot of things. So until that desire remains, we keep on getting body one after the next, and we keep on going through the 8.4 million species based on our desires. Okay, we'll come back to this, the science of awarding the next body. Before that, we'll derive some logical understanding, some more logical way of understanding. How do we understand the soul, right? So when somebody dies, we say that that person has passed away, right? But the person is still lying there, isn't it? Who has passed away? So the body is still there, but actually the soul has passed away. That is why it is said like this, that somebody has passed away, somebody has gone. And in fact, we stop calling that person by name. We always call the body. After that body is there, we always say, oh yeah, let's get the dead body, or lift the dead body, or put the dead body on the fire. We never say that put Mr. Sandeep Agrawal on the fire. No, we know that Sandeep Agrawal has left the body. I'm just taking an example name. Okay. Then consciousness. Consciousness means to be aware, thinking, feeling, and willing, and intentionality. A machine can say that I see red light, but machine does not experience red light. A person, the soul, experience red light, because in the person's the person may have some other incidents related to the red light, or some other incidents experiences which he has gone through. So when a person is looking at an object, it reminds him of many things related to the object. But when a machine sees an object, it does not experience anything. So the consciousness is the symptom of soul. Now this will give you a lot of interest. Near-death experience and out-of-body experience. These are the statistics printed in the medical journals. So first one is the Medical Journal of Current Problems in Pediatrics. 0.11% to 14% of the average American population who are mentally and physically healthy have had OBE, out of body experience. What is out of body experience? Sometimes it so happens that when a person is, let's say, extremely sick, or maybe he is put into some kind of hallucination, uh, some kind of hypnotism practices. Actually, it has been noted that these people have reported that we were able to see ourselves. We were able to see, well, we were sitting in this room, we were able to see what is happening in the next room. Things like that. So there's out of body experience. Sometimes, due to some situations, the soul temporarily comes out of the body and again goes back into the body. So this percentage of American population has actually reported such incidences in their life. Then there is something called as near-death experience. There's enough research in NDE with impeccable scientific credentials. This is Dr. Michael Sabon, a cardiologist and professor at Emory University of Medical School. So he has noted that a lot of people have experienced near-death experience. What happens when a very, very sick person, or when a person meets with an accident, or a drowning person, for example, just before they become unconscious because of the externals, accident, impact, and so on, just before they leave their, uh, just before they become unconscious, they feel uh, the they feel that the soul has come out of their body. So the person has become unconscious. Later, the person is revived with some medical equipments and so on, some medical help. The person reports that actually I experienced death. I went somewhere. I do not know where I was. I saw this, I saw that, and he describes the things. That is actually called near-death experience. A lot of people in this world have experienced this. I will send, or maybe you can also search some Discovery Science, Discovery Channel or Nat Geo Channel videos, documentaries about the same. This is happening with healthy people in this world. Okay. Then there is reincarnation, past life memories. This is Dr. Ian Stevenson. He is professor of psychiatry at the University of Virginia, and he has solved more than 2,000 cases of reincarnation. What do you mean by solving the case of reincarnation? A lot of people approached him in his career. Now Dr. Ian Stevenson is no more. He died his natural death around 5 to 7 years ago, I believe. But his students, who are professors now, they are carrying on this research on past life memories, and a lot of books have been published by this doctor. So some people approached him that our son or daughter, very, very small babies, they are behaving differently. They are, strangely, they are behaving strangely. So this person has actually interviewed them, interviewed their surrounding people, and he has found out in more than 2,000 cases that this person who is a child right now, he has lived a life before, and he is getting these dreams or these kind of impressions because of his last life memories. So very famous case, one of the very, very famous case of reincarnation was a boy who was a Navy pilot in the last life. In the Second World War, when the Pearl Harbor attack was done by Japanese, uh, uh, at that time he was in the US Navy, and he fought that war, and his plane crashed and he died. And this boy was having these dreams. He was taking some names in his dreams, and he was like pushing his legs and jumping out of the bed in his sleep. And his parents were worried. He was a 5-year-old boy at that time. And then slowly, with some visiting to some doctors, it was considered to be the case of psychiatry. And then the case reached to Dr. Ian Stevenson. He researched this case, and then he solved this case. He found out actually the friends of this previous life Navy pilot, and So all this, there's a beautiful documentary on this, 20 minutes documentary on YouTube. I will send that link. You can go through that. Very interesting case. This was another case which was solved by Dr. Ian Stevenson, the case of uh, Shukla. This is an Indian lady, born as a girl again, and she had these last life memories. And actually, this Dr. Stevenson went to her village with his team. Right? They inquired with everyone, they interviewed everyone, and they found out that whatever this girl, 5-6-year-old girl, was telling, that was true. She remembered everything: which village, which is a street which heads to her previous home, what was the name of his father-in-law and husband, and so on. A lot of details she shared. Okay, lot of books have been written on the theory of reincarnation, right? More than 100 books. If you remember this, there was a very famous author called Anne Frank. She became famous after writing this book called The Diary of Anne Frank. She was a girl in the Nazi time when Hitler was trying to, he was tormenting the Jews in Germany. At that time, she belonged to a Jewish family, and with very much difficulty, her family was saved from the pangs of Hitler's men. And she documented everything in her diary, that what was going on at that time in the Nazi rule, right? And later, this journal became very famous, and very true events she had noted down. So this Anne Frank, she is again reincarnated, and she is also an author today. I'm forgetting her name, but this new author, in her childhood, she had these memories of Anne Frank, right? She was Anne Frank in past life. I will try to search for these links and send on the channel. Please go through them. It will strengthen your understanding and increase your faith in the word of the scriptures. Okay, another symptom is phobias. This is 6 o'clock right now. In next 15 minutes, we'll try to finish our presentation. Where do phobias come from? We see that some people, they are afraid of too much height, or some people are afraid of water. Science has not been able to explain the source of phobias. But actually, as per the scriptures, phobias are related to how a person has died in his last life. If a person has died due to drowning, this person will have fear of water in the next life. Because the experience of death is very, very painful. And that impression of undergoing death is actually stored in the mind. It gets stored in the mind. And when we die, our gross body remains in this world, and the subtle body, that is mind, intelligence, false ego, it goes with us in the next body. And this mind, intelligence, false ego forms our likings and dislikings in the next body. So the soul does not go alone. With the soul, subtle body goes to the next body. Okay, so this impression of having died in some way makes into phobia in the next life. So this is again research by Dr. Ian Stevenson. If the previous life ended in a stabbing, there would be a phobia of bladed weapons. If it ended in shooting, there would be a phobia of firearms, and so on. Okay, another example. How do we understand that soul is there? We can see the difference in temperament of twins. The same genes are there, the same parent, the same upbringing, but still, the twins. How do the twins born? It's the same egg, right, which gets divided into two in the womb of the mother. So everything is the same actually, right? But still, because the soul is there and the personality comes from the soul, these two boys may behave actually oppositely different. Yeah. And that is again proof for soul. So again, Dr. Ian Stevenson is saying this: Even though identical twins are physically born in the splitting of a single egg from the same genetic material, they may have striking contrast in temperament. The difference in temperament is because of two different souls reincarnated in two different bodies that are genetically identical. Okay. So, Shashi, you were asking for, I believe in the last week, you were asking some scientific proofs, right? So these are all scientific proofs. Okay, so these
So,
are
Jay, thank you.
Yeah, Shashi.
Just one thing. Thank you for responding. My point is, if you go back to the previous slide 1 minute,
Yeah.
this is coming from this Dr. Ian Stevenson, right?
Yes.
Is this how our Indian Gita, Bhagavad Gita, also reinforces the same concept? Because this is all
Yes, that is true.
are scientific examples from West. But is that
Yes.
how even our Indian
Scriptures? Yes, scriptures also tell the same thing. Yes. So
Okay.
so when we go through this scientific research, it does reinforce our faith in the scriptures that yes, whatever is mentioned in the scriptures is 100% true. I should believe them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So these are some very famous thinkers of this world: Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, and Socrates. They have also mentioned that there is, although they did not have any means to explain the concept of soul, but in their lofty writings, they always mentioned that they have some feelings like that. Christianity did not offer the knowledge of soul, so they were not very, very sure about it. Finding myself to exist in the world, I believe I shall in some shape or other always exist. So in the interest of time, let me move ahead. This was the case solved by Dr. Ian Stevenson, case study of Shukla, remembering a past life. So again, you go through this offline. I will skip this in the interest of time. On what basis the soul is awarded the next body? Again, let's come to the question which was asked in the class. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verse number 6. I will recite this verse. Please recite after me. Okay, you can remain muted or you can unmute yourself. That is okay. But let us continue our discussion after reciting this verse. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam.
Yam
Yeah, go ahead, please.
yam vapi smaran
Smaran bhavam
Tyajtyante kalevaram.
Tejati
Tam tam evaiti kaunteya.
tam
tam
evaiti
tam evaiti kaunteya
Sada tad bhav bhavitah.
sada tad bhava bhavitah.
Yes, thank you very much for reciting the verse. Very nicely you all recited. What is the meaning? Krishna says, O son of Kunti, O Arjuna, whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. What's the meaning? That when we are dying, when we are undergoing the experience of death, whatever impressions, whatever thoughts, whatever memories which come in front of us, the way we have lived our life, whatever hankerings or desires, our next body is awarded on the same basis. I had given you the example of eating meat, let's say. Another example is, a subtle example is somebody who is too attached with the family members, let's say, right? Or my relatives. I want to, how is it? I don't want to leave them. I want to live with them, my sons and daughter and son-in-law, daughter-in-law, or my wife, and so on. So if somebody is too attached, then what happens in the next life? The nature arranges the next body in a way that this person may get born in the same family again. Okay, if he deserves the human body. Now that is also a deserving criteria is also there. So the next body is awarded on two bases, two factors. One is called deserve and one is called desire. Okay, two D's, the 2D formula, deserve and desire. I desire that I become a king in the next life, but I don't deserve, so I will not be king, right? Uh, so, okay, another example is, let me see, some examples are there in the slides. Okay, let's see. When one ignores God's laws and engages in sinful activities with his impure mind and senses, then one glides down to animal bodies, right? This is the deserve criteria. The way we live our human life, if we live like animals, remember the Mercedes-Benz and tractor example? If we live life like animals, we go into the animal's body. We want to eat flesh, we become a carnivorous animal. We want to expose our bodies. We want to, there are so many people in this world, they do not want to wear clothes. So those people are awarded the bodies of trees and plants, right? Because trees and plants, they cannot hide themselves. They have to be always visible in one place. So that kind of body is awarded to them. So whatever, you have heard this proverb, whatever you sow, so shall you reap. So sinful activities like eating or killing animals or eating flesh, or somebody wants to sleep a lot, so that may become a polar bear or another species who can sleep a lot. Somebody wants to expose their bodies, they become trees or plants. The human form of life, we have got developed intelligence to discriminate and lead responsible lives. So what should be done? If one engages in the sinful activities of, these are the foremost and the most the four activities which are prohibited by our scriptures: meat eating, gambling, intoxication, and illicit sex. If we indulge in these four activities directly or indirectly, that brings sins to us. Okay, and we are awarded the lower forms of life. If we lead responsible lives following the religious principles and practicing these four activities, first is called austerity, that is voluntary restraint to gain unending happiness. For example, you all are doing austerity right now by sacrificing your 1 hour of Sunday evening to understand the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. This is tapasya. This is austerity. Austerity is tapasya in Sanskrit, right? So this uplifts our consciousness, it purifies our mind and intelligence and false ego, and it brings us closer to God. It gives a direction to our life. So there are four things which are prohibited, and these four things which are to be done for spiritual upliftment. First is austerity. Second is sacrifice. Sacrifice is also called yajna in Sanskrit. And in the today's day and age, in the Kali Yuga, as per the scriptures, the time cycle is divided into 4 yugas: Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga. Different practices, different yajnas are given in the different yugas, right? For the Kali Yuga, the yajna of chanting holy names has been recommended by the scriptures, right? We have seen in our childhood, our grandparents and their parents, like in the earlier times, we have seen, even today we see people, they chant on their beats, that jap mala, jap karte hain log. The Christians also do chanting, Hindus also do it, Sikhs also do it, Muslims also do it, right, on beats, because this is the prescribed form of doing sacrifice in this current age. So taking God's names repeatedly, it's called the Jap Yajna. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also says that Yajna Nam Jap Yajnosmi. But amongst all the kind of sacrifices, the sacrifice of the chanting of the holy name is the best, right? So that sacrifice has to be done, taking Lord's names. That is the second activity. We will discuss more on it in the next week's topic. Now, how and why and what of yajna is there, the sacrifice.
Prabhuji, I have a question. That
is it okay, Ankita, if I take your question after, let's say, 5 minutes? Let me just cover this part. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Third is cultivation of knowledge. We should always read the scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, A lot of scriptures are there. These two, which I spoke just now, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, they are the top class. They're the summary. They are like Jews of entire Vedic tree. Okay, so we can dedicate the regular time and energy in understanding, studying these scriptures, right? To strengthen our intelligence, so that our intelligence can win over the mind whenever the decision making has to happen. Okay, and the last is associating with saintly persons. Now you think of it like this: if you want to grow in business, who would you want to associate with? You would want to associate with those who are doing good in business, right? So there are clubs of industrialists, clubs of business people, there are clubs of doctors, there are clubs of engineers. Why these clubs are made? So that people of the same ambitions, the people of same kind of domain, they come together and they learn from each other, they network with each other, and they all grow in their careers. Similarly, when we want to grow in spiritual life, when we want to perfect our lives, and we want to break this cycle of birth and death, we want to attain the eternal happiness, we want to attain God, then we have to associate with the people who have this goal, right? Then we learn from each other, we inspire each other, and we take inspiration from each other, and that is how we progress spiritually. So 4 do's and 4 don'ts of spiritual life we discussed. And if we do this, then we elevate gradually to the kingdom of God, right? We rise from the platform of greed, envy, ignorance, illusion, false prestige, and pride. And then we slowly move up to the ladder, which is which takes us to eternity, bliss, and knowledge. So, okay, so I need to, so this was a nice poem written by a saint, but in the interest of time, I'm skipping this over. We can just look at the last lines. Lord is the greatest of all. Let us accept this fact at heart. We are his tiny servants. Let us realize and serve him with joy. Okay, this is the end of our topic. The summary, just quick summary, is that we are not the bodies, we are spirit, soul. Just as a car cannot move without driver, the body cannot function without the soul. The presence of soul can be scientifically proved by common sense, intuitive understanding, presence of consciousness, near-death experience, and past life memories. The gross body is made up of earth, water, fire, air, ether. The subtle body is made up of mind, intelligence, false ego. And we are not simply a robot or a machine. We are, the soul is powering our body. Yes, one more piece of information for all of you is Bhagavad Gita also mentions what is the size of soul. Okay, the size of the soul is 1/10,000th of the tip of the hair. What is the meaning? You take a hair, take the tip of the hair, divide that tip of the hair in 10,000 parts, then one part size is equal to the size of the soul. That is very, 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 very tiny. And the same tiny soul is actually powering the body of an ant, and the same tiny soul is powering the body of an elephant or a blue whale or a giraffe also. That is the power of soul. Okay, thank you very much. Yes, I can take any questions right now. This is 6:16. Yeah, after the question answer, 5 minutes, then we'll end this today's session.
Prabhuji, I have the one question. Prabhuji, can you please tell me the differentiation between the sacrifice and austerity? What is the basic difference between the austerity and the sacrifice? Because I think that only a thin line of margin difference is there. So I'm not
Yeah.
able to exactly
Okay.
grab it.
Yeah, see, sacrifice is yajna in Sanskrit. So yajna, earlier yajnas were performed with the fire in between. A lot of, the purohit would come, the priest would come, they would chant some mantras, they would put a lot of grains or fruits and things like that in the agni. A lot of ghee would be put. That that was a sacrifice, that was a yajna, right? There are different kinds of yajnas mentioned in the scriptures for different outcomes. The japa, the chanting of the holy names, is also considered as yajna only by the scriptures, right? So it's a one particular specific activity which the activity of japa or doing a yajna or actually doing worship, okay, that is also sacrifice, and meditation, that is also one form of yajna which are prescribed in the Satyuga. Okay, so these four activities are yajna. In Kali Yuga, the chanting of the holy names is prescribed as a yajna. Okay, austerity is restraining our senses for a higher cause. Okay, for example, a student who wants to attain a very good percentage in the examination, he sacrifices his sleep, he sacrifices a little bit on his eating, because he knows that if I eat too much, then my body will feel tired and I will have to go to sleep, and I'll have to sleep more. I will not be able to study properly. So he eats just appropriate quantity, which does not bring laziness into the body, right? This is so this student, he likes to eat, right? He has 10 laddus in front of him, but he will eat only 2 because my study will not should not get compromised, right? That is austerity for a higher purpose. When we restrain our senses for a higher purpose, that is called austerity. A lot of times we do upvas, we do vratas, right? So that is austerity for spiritual progress.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Any other question, please? Okay, so if there are no more questions, then let us call it a day. We will.
एक छोटा सा क्वेश्चन है.
हाँ शरद जी, yes. हाँ बोलिए शरद जी.
To use the electronic microscope, which can magnify even 1 millionth part of the hair, tip of hair, to be in a position to see that object. What is that? And why can't we see the soul also?
Very, very excellent question. So the question is, for everybody's understanding, if the microscope can see everything, if I develop a microscope which can,
Electronic microscope.
See,
yes.
Yeah, a microscope which can see a very, very tiny object, like 1 by 10,000 of the tip of the hair object, and I can see in the microscope. Will I be able to see the soul now? So the answer is, see, the soul is spirit, and the body of we are matter, right? The body is made of matter. Now, every equipment which we create in this world, that is also made up of matter, right?
Matter.
Yeah, exactly. So the matter and spirit, they have opposite properties. The matter cannot, with matter we cannot experience spirit. Okay. Now, what is the question of soul? We cannot even see our mind. We cannot see our intelligence. That is also matter, but it is a subtle matter. We cannot even see wind. We cannot see the space, which is matter, right? Our body is made up of earth, water, fire, air, ether. But we can see only earth, water, fire, and that's it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, even matter also we cannot see properly with matter, with material eyes. These eyes are made of matter. Microscope, telescope, everything is made of matter. With these matter, I cannot see the other kinds of matter. But to talk of spirit, spirit is very, very subtle, extremely subtle. So we can never. Scientists will say that okay, soul is there, and no, we don't agree. You show us the soul, but it's very no, like this you cannot see. First, to be able to see the spirit or something spiritual, we need spiritual eyes, we need spiritual senses, and we need spiritual apparatus, right? And that attaining those spiritual eyes, spiritual senses, spiritual apparatus is the process of spiritual perfection, right? And that is what we are going through right now. We are at a very, very preliminary stage, and if God desires, and we all desire, we can go ahead further, and we can attain that spiritual vision to see the soul and God and whatnot. We can see everything, but It takes practice and it takes time. Very
Thank you,
nice
Prabhu.
question. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhu.
Sharad.
If
Yes.
it's
Any other
material,
question?
Jaji,
you cannot see the
one question.
spirit.
Sorry.
No, please go ahead, Prabhuji.
Yes, go ahead, Shashi.
जय जी, just one thing, आपने बताया 2D, right? Dissolve and desire,
Desire and
right?
desire.
Yes.
Yeah. So ये बहुत important aspect है, and typically what you said, this all feelings comes during the time of death of an individual.
Yes.
So, no one knows what will come across to an individual at such a stage.
Yes. Very
Maybe
good.
you even get a time to have such a thought coming across. No one knows if it is so sudden that nothing happens and suddenly the soul departs the body, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what does it mean? Because there is this emotional aspect of the life, then the non-emotional aspect. So what is this desire? How do I comprehend, and how that desire, because there are so many elements of desire, right? And how that translates into a new life. It's a
Yes.
deep
Yes.
subject maybe to understand, and if you can help there.
Yeah. See, the one point is, yeah, what you said is completely right. There is just one addition, that the soul leaves the body very quickly, right? Soul, of course, to the external world, it may seem that this person uh, just left suddenly, he died suddenly. But that person who is undergoing death never leaves suddenly, because the see, the body may be unconscious but the mind is active. Okay, in the night also when we sleep, our body is not the body is unaware of the surroundings, but the mind is active. That is why we see the dreams, and when somebody uh, speaks our name, then we wake up, right? So the mind, intelligence, false ego, they are always active, they're always awake. And when the person is undergoing death, this mind, intelligence, false ego, uh, they they undergo pain, they experience death, although the body may be looking like unconscious. And where all these impressions and attachments and emotions are stored, they are in the mind. Okay, the body does not say that, oh, this pen is very dear to me, this was given to me by my grandfather, and no, I will never be away from this pen. But body does not say that, mind says that. So all these attachments are in the mind. And when we are undergoing death, whatever we love the most, that comes to our thought. We yam yam vapi smaran bhava, whatever we think at the time of death, that kind of body is awarded to me, right? So at the time of death, these thoughts will come to which to the objects of this world, which are very, 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 very dear to us, right? If somebody is, let's say, if somebody is attached to his dog, let's say I have a pet dog or a pet parrot, if I'm too attached to that, at the time of death, I will remember that and I will become a dog or a parrot in the next life. Okay, so so I gave you the example of the war, right, of Pakistan and Pakistani soldier and the Indian soldier. What is happening? Because their mind and false ego is telling that, okay, that Pakistani is my enemy, that Pakistani is my Pakistani. This, with this thought they die, and in the next life they take birth in Pakistan. Okay, so this is the science of dying. This is the science of living body. Hence, what should you do? The solution is, while we are living this life, we should attach ourselves to something which is spiritual. I should decrease my attachments to the material things, and I should increase my attachment to the spiritual things. Okay, then at the time of death, my thoughts will be absorbed in the spiritual, and then I will get a spiritual body. That, what is the spiritual body? The soul. Then I will be able to leave the cycle of birth and death.
Okay, thank
I
you.
hope.
Yeah, Jaji, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
That explains it very well. And मुझे ये लगता है कि maybe at such a situation, whenever one undergoes, if one can remember the God and the word says, I think that is one way to to remain attached but still detached, right? And that's the way to break the, as you explained.
Exactly the point, Shashi. You have hit the nail on its head rightly. At the time of our death, that's what Bhagavad Gita says. Antkale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yah prayati samadbhavam yati nastira samshaya. This is the verse which we are going to discuss in the next topic, but you have caught this. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that Antkale, at the time of death, if somebody remembers God, then he is immediately returned to kingdom of God. Then for this person, there is no next birth. And that should be the goal of our life. That at the end of my uh, life, I should be able to remember God. This is the formula which the scriptures are giving us, right? And that is where this entire Vedic tree culminate to this particular summary, that ante Narayan smriti. At the time of death, remember Narayan. That's why when somebody is died, kirtans are performed. People do some spiritual activities to make him remember God. Tulsi is put in the mouth of a dying person. Ganga Jal is put in the mouth of a dying person. Why? So that this person remembers God and he goes back home, back to Godhead. We will discuss more on this in the coming sessions. There are 4 topics are over now. The 5th topic is what is the spirit? Where does the soul go? Where it has come from and where does it go after this breaking the cycle of birth and death, right? And how do we understand that such a world exists? So more understanding of that on that front. That is topic 5. And topic 6 will be what are the practices of different religions and different paths and why they have been given, which one to follow and which one to basically how to derive more understanding of all the principles of different religions. Thank you very much. It is too late now, 6:30. I can go on for 1 hour, but I know that you all have your engagements. Sunday evening, you have to prepare for tomorrow also. So I, again, with the bottom of my heart, I thank you all for joining the session today, and see you next week at the same time. If you would like to show your faces, please do so that I also start recognizing you with the faces. Very soon, when the corona pandemic is over, we'll meet. We'll have a get together, small get together. We'll have a party, right? Just like in the offices, just like in the offices, there is a trainings are given, and after that there is a party, right? In the 5-star hotels. So we will also meet after the course, and we will have a nice party in Pune.
Sattvic party.
Yes. And those who are not in Pune, we will send the photographs of the party.
Thank you. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hare
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Namaskar.
Dandot Pranam. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.